LG front load washing machine drums are held up and supported by two thick suspension springs. Now, these two springs are located at the top of the machine, right about the center. There's going to be one on the right-hand side, like this one right here. And then there's going to be one on the left-hand side that's going to be just behind the detergent dispenser. Now, if you end up being under the unfortunate circumstances of having either one of those springs break or pop out of place, that's going to cause the tub to fall down on one side. And then the boot seal for your tub, which is going to be the rubber gasket around the door, is going to end up looking like this. And if yours does look like this and you have tried to run a load already, then you are probably fully aware that it is causing your machine problems. Typically what you'll see is that when your machine gets to the spin cycle, it is bouncing all over the place, or it's leaking a bunch of water. I've come across this problem many times over the years, and I've seen lots of people take one look at their machine when it gets like this and decide that that's it, they're done. They get rid of it, throw it away, they go out and they buy a new one. And I'm here to tell you that you do not need to do that. My name is Randy. I am an appliance technician, and I specialize in LG front load washers and dryers. And I'm gonna walk you through exactly what you need to do to get your machine back up and running. Let's take a closer look. All right, so the first thing that we wanna do is we want to remove this lid. You want to come to the back of the machine and look for these two plastic tabs right here. And each one of these has two screws that hold it in place. We want to remove the screw on the bottom on the one on the right and this one on the left. Come back to the front of the machine and then just slide the lid backwards and pop it off. And now you want to just inspect your springs and see which one is giving you a problem. So we have this one right here on the right hand side. And then there's going to be one over here right behind this detergent dispenser. It's a little bit trickier to see with the camera, but almost immediately we can see that this is the issue right here. Now this spring actually broke. It's supposed to have a hook on the bottom, just like here on the top. This one has broken off completely. And so it's detached from the drum and caused the drum to basically fall down on this right-hand side. So in this particular case, we would have to replace this spring. Now, these don't always break. Sometimes, like I said before, they just kind of pop out of the little holder right here. The spring itself will be perfectly intact. And if that's the case, usually it will still be hooked into the drum where it connects down there. I'll show you in just a second. It's just a matter of picking it up and setting it in the holder right here like that. And when you do that, it lifts the tub back up. So again, for this one, we're gonna need to replace this. And if that is the same case for you, you just wanna keep in mind that before you try to go to order your part, you wanna make sure that you are getting the correct spring. So this is the broken one. And these are springs from different models of LG machines. They're usually painted. So this one is yellow, this one is green, this one has red, and this one is just all black. Now, I do believe that there are a couple other ones as well. These are just ones that I currently have. And so since our broken one has yellow paint on it, you want one that has the yellow paint on it as well. Now, I will link as many of these as possible in the description. Like I said, it really just comes down to the specific model that you have. But if for some reason your machine has a spring that I didn't link in the description, or you're just not sure which one you need, then I'm gonna put a link in the description for a video that I have. And if you click on it and watch it, it'll walk you through step by step how to find what you need. So we're back over here with our replacement spring. And how it goes on will depend on which side you are trying to do the replacement on. If you are on this side, the right side, then you're going to want to hook it just like this. You're going to want to have the bottom hook facing out towards you, and then the top hook is going to be facing towards the right. So we will hook through the back of the tub and lift up, and then this will go right inside the little holder over here. And then if it was going to be on the left hand side, you would do the opposite. You would take the bottom hook and hook it through the front, lift up, and then this hook would be facing towards the left of the machine, and it's going to hook into the holder on that side. And I'll zoom in so that you can get a better look of exactly what I'm doing. All right, this right here is the hole that hook is going to go through on the drum. So we're going to start by coming through the back of the hole towards the front. You got to kind of put it at an angle and then wrap it around and straighten this out to where it's up like that. And then when we lift it up, this is that hole that the other hook is going to go into, and it's got this little plastic tab right here that it rests on. So you just reach down, get a good grip on the spring, pull up on it, and set it back in place. And this little plastic tab on here is broken. It actually just broke a little bit more. I'm going to look and see if I can find a replacement for them on Amazon, and if I do, I'll put a link for it in the description in case yours breaks as well. So here's the one that's on the other side. Once you get the hook in that little plastic holder, it's got a little piece right here that you just fold over and insert into the hole above it and lock it in place so that it can't pop out again. Now that we've got that spring back in place, you can see that the boot seal here looks a lot better than it did. It is slightly a little warped right here and up here. And usually that's just because you need to remove the retaining ring that holds this boot seal in place right here to the front door. And once you do that, you can pull the front portion of your boot seal out a little bit, and that'll give it room to kind of bounce back to its original shape. And then you can put the boot seal back on and re-secure it. As far as the repair for the spring is concerned, that's it. But that definitely isn't the end of your overall repair and the things that you need to check for. I cannot stress to you enough how important these next steps are. Now, when your tub falls down on one side, it's an absolute must. Like, you have to just expect and plan on doing the replacement for the shock absorbers. More than likely, the reason that your drum spring broke or the reason that it popped out of its holder was because you have bad shock absorbers. Bad shock absorbers are going to cause your machine to have unbalanced loads. It's going to cause your drum to jump during the cycle, and all of that action is what causes these to either break or pop out of place. So again, if you're here and you're doing this, then you most definitely want to replace the shocks, because otherwise you just run the risk of it breaking again. But also, it's important that you do a visual inspection on some of the other components of your machine before you put it back to use. And we're going to start with this hose right here. When the drum falls down, regardless of which side it does it on, it puts strain and pressure on this hose because it stretches it. You want to check it thoroughly, check everywhere, make sure that there are no rips and tears. You're also going to want to do the same thing with this hose right here. This hose runs from your detergent dispenser to your drum, and it is what puts all of the water, detergent, bleach, fabric softener that you put up here in this dispenser into your drum. And again, the tub falling down on one side can stretch it, and it can create tears in these little folds. So just double check and make sure that everything is good. And if it's not, you want to make sure that you replace it. Both this one and this one over here, I will put links for in the description. They are pretty uniform across most of LG's machines, but just make sure that when you go to order it, that the one that you're ordering looks exactly like the one that you are taking off. And then for the majority of LG's models, if you're looking at the main PCB towards the back left-hand side of your machine and you go down a little bit, you'll see this thin hose right here, and this runs from the drain hose to the tub. And it's not so much that you have to worry about whether or not this one has torn, but what can happen is it will just pop off like that. And if it pops off, then it's just going to leak water out when you run your cycle. So you just want to make sure that it's 100% fully connected and secure before you start your next load. You also want to take a look at your boot seal. Again, when that drum falls down, everything stretches, and you may have gotten a tear or a rip of some kind in your boot seal. Just pull the lip of this back and do a visual inspection all the way around. And if it is torn, then you're going to want to replace this as well, because if not, you're just going to get water on your floor when you run the next cycle. There are a lot of different boot seals that LG uses for the various number of machines that they have. So I can put some links in the description, but honestly, my best recommendation would be to click on that link in the description that I mentioned earlier, my video that teaches you how to find replacement parts for your machine and exactly where to buy them. That's probably going to be your best bet, so that you end up with the right one. A lot of them may look the same in the pictures, but they will have slight variations in them. So again, you want to make sure that you're getting the right one before you order it. That's all that we really need to check on. Now we'll move on to doing the shock absorber replacement. You want to come back to the back of the machine, and we're going to take this panel off. And to do that, we're just going to remove the 4 screws that hold it in place here, 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 and here. To pull this off, just kind of grab it on the sides and you can pull it out towards you. And this gives us access to our first shock absorber right here. We're going to go ahead and take a much closer look at that specific shock. Here it is. This is the top of the shock absorber, and you can see that it has been damaged. When it fell down, it looked like it caused the top of this to kind of bend outwards that way. And it's got just a little bit of a crinkle right here, and you definitely do not want that. You want a shock that hasn't been compromised at all. This type of damage can render the shocks useless, and continuing to use your machine with these is just going to create more problems for you, and it's going to break it again. So we definitely want to get here and replace them. We'll start with this one, and then the other 2 will access from the front of the machine after this. Your shock absorber is held in place by 2 plastic pins that look just like this one. There's going to be one at the top, and then there'll be one down here at the bottom. And these pins have these little plastic pieces right here. And when this passes through the shock, this presses down, and when it comes out the other end, it pops back up and it helps lock it in place so it can't pull back out. So we need to make sure that these stay pressed down when we try to pull that pin out. Easiest thing that I have found to use is a 13 millimeter deep socket. What you want to do is just slip this right over this end of the pin. And I'll zoom in and give you a closer look. So again, you just take this and get it on there like that. And then you want to take a pair of channel locks, grab the opposite end, hold this in place, and then just wiggle it out. And then you can do the same thing for the bottom. Once both pins are out, then you can just remove that shock absorber. And again, we can see here how damaged this one is. And this is why it is so important that you replace these if your tub spring falls down or breaks. We got a new shock absorber that we're going to put on here. And I know that this one does look a little bit different than the old one, but don't worry about that too much. LG uses different OEM shock absorbers for their machines, but this is a universal one. This will work for all LG models, doesn't matter how big, how small. And I'll put a link for them on Amazon so that you can purchase them there if you need to. To install the new shock absorber, just stretch it out a little bit. And we want to start with the bottom first. And you're going to put the bottom of this shock between these two plastic pieces right here. Then you can insert your pin and use a hammer to put it back in place. Now we can adjust the top portion and get it between the two plastic pieces up here. Get your pin in, get it started, and then you can either use a hammer or a pair of channel locks and knock that one back into place as well. Now that we have that one shock in the back taken care of, we need to replace the other two, and to get to those, we need to remove the front panel. If you come to the back side of this user interface board, there's a screw right here that you want to remove. Pull out your detergent dispenser, and we want to remove it, and to do that, you're just going to push down on this little tab and pull it out. Remove the two screws that go into the detergent dispenser. Next, we're going to come down to the bottom left-hand side of the machine, and we want to take this little door off. You want to remove this screw right here, and then pull this hose out and check and see if there is a secondary screw right up under here. Some models have it, some don't. This one does. And once you've got that out, this piece of plastic will come out, and then you've got one more screw right here that you want to remove. We want to remove this user interface panel. It's not something that we need to completely disconnect. You just want to get it off, and then we're going to set it up on top. And so what you want to do is just take the tips of your fingers and grab the top of it and see if you can just work your fingers across all the way and see if it'll pop off just like that. And if it doesn't pop off and it's giving you a hard time, you just want to grab a screwdriver, start at the end over here and work it underneath the user interface panel, and then all the way across, just work it up underneath there, and it will pop off just like that. Now you can grab it and you can just set it up on top like this. Open up the door, and next we want to remove the retaining ring that holds this boot seal in place. And to do that, all we're going to do is grab that same flathead screwdriver, pull this back just a little bit until it exposes the ring, slip it just underneath it, and then pull it out towards you, and it'll come right off. With the boot seal disconnected, we can remove the front panel. And to do that, we're going to take off the screws. This model has 6. There's going to be 2 here, 1, and 2. Some machines will have 4, some will have 5. Regardless of what yours is, just remove all of those. You want to work the boot seal back through the other side of the door, and then lean it towards you, and then you want to reach over the top and you want to disconnect this wire right here. This is the wire harness that connects to your door switch. It just has a little piece that you have to push in on it and then pull down, and it'll disconnect. Your front panel is now completely free of all connections, and you can just lean it towards you, lift it up, and take it off. With this, we almost have complete access to the shock absorbers. Now, this next part, you can get to the shocks. They're going to be right up underneath here without removing this counterweight. But I find it's a lot easier to take this off. It gives you more room to work with. You don't have to worry about the top one. You can just leave that one on. And it's got 4 screws that hold it in place. And you're going to use a 10 millimeter nut driver to remove those screws. Once those are out, you can just grab it and pull it towards you. It'll pop right off. This is the shock that's on the right-hand side. And then if I move the camera over, you can see that This is the shock that's on the left hand side, and both of those again are just like the ones in the back. They're going to have a pin up here on the top and another pin down here on the bottom. We're going to use that 13mm deep socket nut driver to do the same thing with the pins that we did on the shock that was in the back. Get it on there, and it helps if you push in the tub with your hand and hold it in place. And I'm doing that with my hand, even though you can't see it on camera. And then use your channel locks, grab the pin, and it'll come right out. We'll do the same thing for the bottom. We've got our new shock right here. We'll set that in the bottom part and run the pin in, hammer it back. You want to fit the top part back in, get the holes lined up, get the pin just started in there, and hammer it in. We'll move to the other side and we'll repeat the process. Now the new shocks are on, and like I said before, we have given the boot seal the opportunity to be free from that front panel. It's not nearly as warped as it was before. We can slip the counterweight back on and we'll screw it back in. You want to get the front panel back on, and if you look at the bottom of that panel, it has 3 slits in it. And there are 3 pieces of metal that are coming up from the bottom of the machine. You're just going to fit those pieces of metal through those slits, push forward, lean over the top again. You want to grab your wire harness and reconnect it to the door switch, and just make sure that you push it in all the way. Push the door back forward and re-secure it by putting in the screws that you took out earlier. The control panel will just pop right back on. Put the screws back in for the detergent dispenser. Your detergent dispenser should just slide right back in. And then don't forget the screw that holds the user interface panel in place. And now, last but not least, we have to make sure that we get our boot seal back on. And to be honest, guys, this is where the majority of people have a really difficult time. And I'm going to show you a trick that should make this process really simple. So first, you want to pull the boot seal back through the front part of the door. You're going to take your fingertips, and if you see here, there's a metal lip that's coming off this panel. You're going to take the boot seal in your fingers and then just work it over that little lip and go all the way around. And once you think you've got it on there, again, tips of your fingers all the way around, just make sure that it's flush. You want to take your ring and the spring of the ring, you want to put it towards the bottom. And I offset that spring just right of center a little bit. And I'll usually work in the right hand side, like the right half of it, into the little groove where the ring goes. And then a pair of needle nose pliers, I'll grab the left hand side of the spring, and then I'm going to pull from right to left and kind of use my weight to move this direction, and then work the rest of the ring into the groove as I'm pulling on it. Just like that. Don't want to use a pair of needle nose pliers? You can go to the description. There'll be a link there for the spring expansion tool. So once you've got that back on there, you are good to go. You can see where it was warped over here. It's now sitting perfectly, and your machine should be back to being fully functional. You shouldn't have any more problems with the machine, and no more worries about not being able to do laundry or having to run out and buy a brand new machine. As always, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my video and supporting me. If you have any questions about any of the processes that I covered, or maybe something that I forgot and didn't cover, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer you as quick as I can. Also as well, up to this point, I've made somewhere around 60 videos. I feel like I've covered quite a bit of problems or different topics when it comes to these machines, but obviously I haven't covered every last little thing. And I want to know if there is something that you guys have experienced or are having a hard time with that you might need help with, or that you think that you would like to see me make a video of. If you do, again, please share with me, put that in the comments section, and then I'll do my best going forward to make that video for you. Thank you guys so much. Take care. We'll catch you next time.